Look, the way I see it is that the 12 weeks is going to pass anyway. So the time's going to pass and you can choose to keep, doing what you've always done, go down that shame spiral, the guilt, the frustration, or you can just choose to take that radical responsibility and say, do you know what? Enough is enough. There's a different outcome for me waiting on the other side of saying yes today, and wake up and regaining your energy and regaining your health and feeling good in ways that you didn't think were possible in such a short amount of time. It's just about making that decision to say yes today, because the time is going to pass anyway. And I didn't think that my life could be so different in just 12 weeks. And I think that if I can do it, anyone can do it, basically.
Hello and welcome to the Metabolic Balance Stories podcast. This is where we share real stories and insights to help you on your journey to optimal health with personalized nutrition. I'm Cherry Wills, I'm your host, and today I'm delighted to welcome a wonderful client who has completed Metabolic Balance. Athena Litis started MB, her Metabolic Balance plan, in January, that would be four months ago. And she's joining to share her experience. So I don't know anything about your journey actually yet, Athena. So I'm very excited to hear from you, and a big hello to you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Also very excited to be here today.
So let's start from where would you start as the beginning that would give a good insight into where your story began for MB?
Yes, sure. I think that, in all honesty, my story started with frustration.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Frustration at trying so many different other things and thinking, why is nothing working? And starting to question, is there something wrong with me? Why am I doing all of the right things and I'm still not seeing the results that I want? And it was at that point of frustration, I started doing more and more research, and I thought there has to be another way. There has to be something out there that can help me.
So what were you trying? I mean, because I think frustration is where an awful lot of people are with their health. So tell us what your health was like, first of all, and then tell us what you were doing.
So I would say that from a sort of weight point of view, for as long as I can remember in my teens, I've always been jumping on one trend and jumping off, and then it would work for a bit and I'd see results, but then it would never last. And I would yo-yo back, jump on, jump off. And I did this with various different programs. I think I've tried it all. Weight Watchers, keto, this, that, all of this.
So you've had weight yo-yoing. Is that really and where were you at your biggest? And
at my biggest was after I had my daughter. That was about 8 years ago. And what happened then was, in the past, it was just yo-yoing around weight. But then after I had my daughter, I noticed that things started shifting hormonally. And then my challenge became even bigger.
okay, yeah. So you were struggling with your weight, and what were you trying? So when where did the frustration lie? Because this, I think, a lot of people are trying a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm.
I tried. Where do I start? I tried going down the keto path for a while, and I found that I was getting results, but I wasn't feeling better. So although the weight was dropping off, I still wasn't feeling great. And I also was starting to get a bit confused, because I jump into these programs and I think to myself, oh, isn't this interesting that we're all doing the exact sort of same things, but yet we're so different? And so I always felt like, I don't know if that sits well with me. And you'd get these results and you'd drop, say 10 kilos, but then you wouldn't really feel I didn't really feel that much better from a health point of view. And then slowly I didn't also build the infrastructure to continue to maintain that. So then over time, I would just put it all back on again and then end up back at frustration. And this happened with a few different programs. Then I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll get a coach that will do a nutrition and a fitness program all in one. And then I would just get so frustrated at having to, they all told me, you have to download MyFitnessPal, you have to count calories every day, every day. And I would forget because I just wouldn't, think every minute of the day I have to put in every ingredient that I ate. And I thought, I can't do this. There has to be another way. So then I'd do that for a bit and then I'd go, no, this doesn't work with my lifestyle. And I'd end up back at frustration.
Yeah, yeah. And like you've got a busy job, you've got a daughter as well. So you've got a lot going on your plate, I would imagine too. So, and the other thing I think is you were doing it by yourself as well. I mean, like you were doing different programs. Is this true? I mean, share. Is this true? You're doing it by yourself, or were you?
Did some in groups. I did some in a group setting. And there was quite a lot of sort of like Facebook group support and that sort of thing. And again, at the time, I was getting results, but it's always what happens after. Mm.
So, how did you hear about metabolic balance?
Well, I was interestingly at a business conference, and there were two girls there, and they were talking a lot about metabolic rate with regards to, weight loss and hormones and all of these sorts of things. And they got me really curious. So I got home, said, oh, this metabolic thing sounds interesting. I'm going to do some research. So I started researching and I came across the metabolic balance. And I thought, sounds interesting. And then just absolutely serendipitously, I spoke to my naturopath and I said, oh, I'm starting to get frustrated with this whole weight hormonal thing. And I've been looking into this whole metabolic thing. And she said, you're not going to believe this. I have just joined with a metabolic balance practitioner, and I think it's going to be incredible for you. She's amazing. You need to speak to her, because I nearly signed up with somebody else that wasn't under the metabolic balance banner, but still sort of advertise themselves that in a way that sounded very similar. So I was just about to pay the deposit when I spoke to my naturopath. She said, stop, wait, you've got to talk to this woman, Lisa. I said, okay. So I messaged her straight away. I said, look, is there any chance I can jump on a call with you? I was ready to go. By this point, I was like, I have had enough. I'm ready to go. So we jumped on a call and I thought, this sounds like everything that I've been searching for. And I just got really excited.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So you then started working with Lisa Mackay, which is wonderful. So out of Perth, and tell us sort of, how did it all sort of unfold then from this point on?
Hmm. So I spoke to her and I said, look, I'm frustrated. And if you're going to tell me to count calories, I'm out of here. She, so these are my pain points. This is what I don't, I'm not willing to do. There has to be another way. And we just really aligned. She said, oh gosh, no, I couldn't imagine, sitting there putting everything into my fitness pal and doing this and that and stuff. So I thought, okay, this is sounding great. And she very clearly explained to me what the program involved. And I think what I loved most about it, and I think this is how I knew it was going to be different from anything I'd ever done before, is because it was completely customized to me. Whereas, as I mentioned in the past, I'd been doing things that just felt a little bit like, oh, here you all go and do the same thing. But yet we're so different, right? And so that didn't make sense to me. So I love getting my bloods done and knowing what data I have to work with. So I thought, okay, this is a good start because I'm going to get the data first. And then we've actually got something concrete to work with that is specific to me. And that really excited me. So got all the bloods done and we started. And I'm not going to lie, the first few days in phase 1 were very challenging, but Lisa reassured me that to think of it like a factory reset. And I liked that analogy because that was what I was looking for as well, a factory reset. And I realized if my body is going into this level of withdrawals from what I thought was eating well, then this is already a good sign. Not enjoyable for the first few days, I'm not going to lie, but I knew that it was leading to something really important because I felt like I was in like a hangover period. And Lisa kept reassuring me, yes, the fact that you're feeling that means that you're already shifting.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good insight to actually have. And it's that recognition that we want things to be different. We want to have a reset. We want to have that shift in metabolic health. And we certainly don't want it to be, don't want it to be unpleasant, but it's kind of that healing. Healing isn't always happy flowers and, you know, rainbows and kind of thing. It actually, sometimes you kind of got to go through, like that withdrawal. And it's that remembering that it's just food. We are only giving you whole, fresh foods. And it's maybe a bit of a withdrawal of caffeine or sugar or sort of any, other foods.
Mm, mm, absolutely. Yeah. And I just thought to myself, wow, what have I been feeding my body, you know, to then just eat really healthy foods and to respond in that way for a few days? Like I thought that was really insightful. That was my first lesson. And exactly like you said, I didn't go into it expecting that it was going to be easy at the start because I knew that if I wanted a different result, then some things would pop up that were going to be, a little bit challenging. But it's through that challenge that you grow the most. So I was ready for it. I was ready for it.
Yeah, amazing. So, so the first few days, a little bit challenging, and then you were getting into the rhythm of things.
So I moved into phase two. And look, I'm from a Greek family, and a lot of my life revolves around food. That's how we connect, how we show love, and all of those sorts of things. And I thought to myself, never in my life, no matter what program I've done, never in my life have I only ever eaten 3 meals a day without snacks. Never. And I thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I've got low blood sugar. I get shaky if I haven't eaten for this long. I started thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And although the first few days, again, I was a bit hungry, leaving the 5 hour gaps because my body wasn't used to it. I cannot believe till to this day that I eat 3 meals a day and I leave 5 hour gaps in between, and it is absolutely easy. I never thought I could ever get to that point. And I thought to myself, well, that's what happens when you start eating the right foods for your specific body and biochemistry. You don't actually need the snacks. And I think what was most interesting in this journey is it wasn't just a physical change. I learned a lot about myself mentally and emotionally, particularly around the fact that I had been using food as an emotional dopamine hit for most of my life. And what I realized through doing this program is that the dopamine kick that I was always chasing through food, yet feeling horrible after, actually switched to the dopamine kick being how good I felt. Even though I felt at times that I was missing out, in inverted commas, on some of the things that I thought were bringing me so much joy, I can't compare the level of joy that I feel from the way that my body and mind and emotions feel now in comparison to the little bit of 5, 10 minute joy I sort of felt eating foods that were not doing great things to the inside of my body, So that dopamine kick really switched around for me. And that was a very big life lesson.
It's such an interesting thing that you've brought up there because it's almost like it's something that probably at the beginning you would never have really expected to even feel that or know that. It's almost like you have to experience it to kind of really grasp what that truly means, because so many of us, so many people, and you would have been included, I'm sure, in this, is we kind of, you go through life all on a high level of so it's what am I trying to say? It's this sort of low level of functioning, but you're the high level of keeping going. You just keep on going, even though your body and your mind isn't functioning as well as it really could do. It's like you trudge on through because we have to. We have responsibilities, we have work, we have family, we have kids. But actually, it's still just sort of trudging through. And then you start to really fuel your body and your mind with great sustenance and great nourishment. And then it's like, this is how it's supposed to feel. A quick thank you for listening to Metabolic Balance Stories. We aim to bring you a bit of positivity and encouragement to help you eat well and feel your best every day. If you're enjoying this episode, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We'd really appreciate it. Right, back to the conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then that's where that little dopamine kick. Then you feel so good that you're like, oh, I want more of this feeling now, not the feeling of eating a piece of lasagna and it giving me 5 seconds of pleasure and then feeling sick the next 2 days. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And how has it been with, because you said you shared you've got an 8-year-old daughter as well. So how did that sort of go? Because obviously daughters, kids are very perceptive. They're watching what we're doing. How did that work out?
Very perceptive. So I had a chat to my daughter about it before I started because I really wanted to emphasize to her that the reason I was doing this was for my health and, taking away from any, things about the way I look and using too much language around losing weight to look better and really basing it on health. And that I explained to her that, look, oh, I haven't been looking after my health as well as I could. And I really want to prioritize being as healthy as I can so I can be a better mum and a better wife and, just have a better life with you all. And you're going to see some changes around the way that I'm eating and the way that my program is. And, I won't be eating at restaurants with you all the time in the way that I used to for now. And you will notice that I might start to look a bit different as well. And she's been jumping on the journey with me in such a beautiful little way. She says to me, oh, Mum, I can really see that, you're changing and you look healthy and just the language that we're using around. I said, well, I feel much healthier. And she's just picked up on the foods that I eat, and then she starts to want to eat those foods more as well. And yeah, it's been a really beautiful journey. She's like my little cheerleader as well, which is really beautiful. So it's been a family affair, and my husband's been so supportive, and they've been cheering me on and celebrating me all the time. And I think it's also just taught her that you can do hard things. Like, you might not think that you can do them to start with, but if you persevere and you have the right setup and the right infrastructure, then you absolutely can achieve your goals. So it's been really, really lovely.
I think it's a very powerful lesson as well that food makes a difference in how we feel and how our bodies work as well, and it's that, the if you when you feel good on the inside coming out, you also can be a more patient mom. You can be a more an energized mom. You can be a more engaged mum as well. I just kind of, I recognize this. I'm a mum as well, and I know that when I've not been looking after myself, I'm not the best person to always be around, even for my gorgeous kids who I adore. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the thing that has probably blown my mind the most about this is that I have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on every different modality you can think of around health. I was, going to acupuncture every week, wondering, why do I have sinus every single week? Niggles here and a little pain here and there. And I cannot believe that they have disappeared. I'm not joking. They disappeared and I can't find them anymore. Gone. It's absolutely blown my mind.
So sinus issues, that's, they've are now sort of basically dissipated? Yeah,
Histamine, gone. I've had like little back pains and niggles, a tingling down my legs, this and that. It's gone. Just little like bits of eczema that might pop up, gone. Just it honestly, Cherry, it has blown my mind that this can happen through food. I haven't taken anything. Haven't even I've been naughty. In fact, I haven't taken any of my like naturopathic supplements because I haven't really felt like I needed to. I haven't been to acupuncture since I started. I haven't been to anything. No chiro, nothing.
I think when you get to that real underlying grounding of just nourishment for your body, the body actually wants to step up and be well and rebalance itself and look after you.
Hmm.
And it doesn't need treatments a lot of the time, and or it opens the door so you can really see which treatment is actually genuinely needed.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. So where are you right now? So you're pretty much have you are you at your sort of health goal right now? Are you going into the maintenance phase now?
I'm getting close. So I've lost 11 and a bit kilos, and my aim is to lose 15. So I'm still in phase two. And then once I come out of phase two, I will move into phase three and then four with my coach. But I think I was saying to my husband just last night, we were talking about this. And when you start something and you're, 15 kilos, heavier than you want to be, it can feel very insurmountable. You think, oh my gosh, I've got so much to lose. This is going to take so long. And it can feel a little bit difficult. But the way that this program has set me up is that it's almost impossible not to succeed because it's so easy to follow. And the other thing I was saying to my husband is that I've never experienced before is that you get this feeling of a predictable feeling about how you're going to wake up every morning because the foods that you are eating are specifically designed for you. So in the past, I've done programs, and although, like I mentioned, I've lost the weight, I still wouldn't wake up feeling great. Whereas now I go to bed every night going, I know what I've eaten today. I know I'm going to wake up and feel fantastic. I do the same thing every night. It's predictable because you know that the foods you're eating make you feel good. So there's no question about it anymore. There's no, oh, I wonder how I'm going to feel tomorrow after what I ate. You go, I know I'm going to feel good. And just the fact that everything is so structured and easy to follow has been, I think, why I found it so easy because it's right in front of you on one page. There is no guessing. There's no guesswork. And that's been extremely helpful for me. So that's where I'm at now. And I find it easy I can stay in phase two. And look, there have been times, I have my family and friends have applauded my commitment many times because I have been to so many social engagements. I've been on holidays, I've been on staycations, and I have called and said, do you have a bar fridge? I've packed my lunch and snacks to every single thing I've been to. And, I know that it's a season. It's not forever. I know that this is a season phase two. The fact that the weight is dropping off me makes it absolutely easy for me to go, yeah, I went through the whole of Easter and Greek Easter and I took my lunch everywhere I went. And it was fine because, again, I knew how great I was going to feel after. I knew the path that I was on. I knew how close I was getting to my goal. So I think when you're attached to that goal and that why, then it kind of makes it easy to commit to.
Yeah. Yeah. And where do you see yourself sort of like following things in, say, a year's time or 5 years' time? Because that's ultimately actually what, I kind of don't want to break the bubble. Like you doing this once isn't enough because we have to keep on looking after ourselves every day. Just, as a veteran who's done this for like the last sort of 15 years, we have to keep on doing it and keeping on looking after ourselves. So how do you feel about this moving forward for the future?
It's a good question because I have mentioned to Lisa, several times, I'm worried that I'm going to do what I've done every other time and slip back into old habits and, you know, put it all back on and that sort of thing. But again, I was talking to my husband about this last night. We're having a very big chat about it. And I said, you know, what is different this time is that I understand how phase two works. I understand how the foods that have been prescribed to me work for me. And I can come back to that anytime. Like if I had a couple of days or I went on a trip where maybe, I wasn't sticking exactly to maintenance, I said to him, all I have to do is go straight back to phase two for a bit. It's easy. I know exactly what to do, and that will, get me back on track. Whereas in the past, I've been confused where to start or how to start. It just seems like a no-brainer now on how to jump back on very quickly. Or even, my coach Lisa said to me, if I wasn't feeling well, she's like, that's okay. Go back to phase one for a couple of days. You know what to do and just nourish your body. And then when you're ready to add things in. So I feel hopeful this time because the other thing is that I have found so many little foods and snacks, not snacks, sorry, foods that I wouldn't have thought to eat in the past that are like my go-tos now. Like I pretty much eat the same breakfast every day because I love it. Just mango and yogurt, and some days I make it into a smoothie. Um, and I can't see myself not doing that in the future because I enjoy it and it's quick and easy and it feels good. I've got little go-to lunches, things that I keep in the fridge all the time that, again, I never would have put together myself. But it's just, I feel like the program sets you up to succeed for the long term. And that's what gives me hope. So I think, yes, I am going to, when I move into phase three, I'm going to introduce a relaxed meal and, look at a few other things with Lisa. But the foundations are set now. And now that I know that food is medicine and that it has healed me in ways I didn't think were possible, why would I want to divert from that feeling? It's just, I've seen and felt too much now that, yeah, I don't want to go back to how it used to be.
And I think that's a really nicely put, and how I always love people to realize as well that it's just at your fingertips to just kind of go, yeah, I'm just going to focus on that food. And it doesn't take you to pay any more money. You don't have to buy anything. You don't, to go to the supermarket and buy your food as you would every week anyway. We've got to buy our food. But actually, it's now this is your knowledge. And knowledge is so powerful, isn't it? When you know what to do for you, well, this is your little superpower to look after yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And when you start to feel so good every day, it's just incredible to think that those foods are able to heal you in those ways as opposed to guessing. Like that's what I was saying to someone recently. They said, "Oh, my this was up and that was up, and I'm going to cut out all of this, and then I'm going to do carnivore, and I'm going to do this." And I just said, "Why are you guessing? Why are you guessing? Just go and do something like this that where you don't guess. You will get told like these are the foods that suit your biochemistry." And I think the fact that it just takes the guesswork out of it is just like a no-brainer now. I couldn't imagine not doing that.
Yeah. Yes, that's what science is about, isn't it? Let's actually get the data. Let's actually work it out and use a tool that will just mean that you don't have to waste time. Because ultimately, that's guessing is essentially kind of wasting time.
That's what I was doing. I was guessing. I was guessing for my whole life. And this has just been like a real fast track.
Yeah. And of course, coming back to one of the things you said about you almost went with something else. You went with a general metabolic sort of program, and actually you heard about metabolic balance as the analysis. So, obviously I'm thrilled to bits that you did go with the personalized MB approach. What would you say to somebody who may be thinking, oh, I could just do a general version, of anybody who's just saying I can help with metabolism? Because it is a bit of a buzzword out there these days. Yeah, yeah.
I would say that you can continue guessing and you may get to a certain point, but honestly, nothing compares to just getting the data, your personalized data, your bloods, not in a group, just for you, getting someone to interpret that data, creating a food plan that suits your biochemistry, and then executing it is incomparable to the amount of time that is wasted guessing. I cannot believe how quickly my life has turned around just through eating foods that suit me. Like, I think to myself, I used to eat things that I thought were healthy. I was eating, say, lots of tomatoes and this and that. Now, tomatoes are not on my list. Perhaps that was something that was triggering me. So often we think that we're eating healthy, and on paper it is healthy, but it may not be healthy for your specific body and biochemistry. And when you start eating foods that are, you you can't go back from that. Honestly, you can't go back from that. So just get the data, do it properly, and get there faster. Like, you want to get there faster, right? This will get you there faster.
I totally agree. Basically, I can't argue against that at all, because, yeah, life's too short. We've got things to do. We've got life to live. We've got, yeah, experiences to have. You don't want to spend them feeling a bit bleh, or, kind of, it's just,
12 weeks ago, my life was remarkably different in 12 weeks.
yeah. Yeah, and hence why you're here. That's why you're here talking to me as well. Yes, yeah. So, thank you, Athena. That's been a wonderful story of just overcoming that frustration, which is horribly prevalent in our world. Overcoming the frustration, learning, knowing, doing, and yeah, and reaping the rewards and the benefits of all of that. It's been wonderful to talk to you. Is there anything else you'd share before we kind of finish? Is there any other pearls of wisdom that you would give to somebody who maybe is currently about to start on MD, or is about to get in touch with their practitioner? Is there anything that you would say?
Look, the way I see it is that the 12 weeks is going to pass anyway. So the time's going to pass, and you can choose to keep, doing what you've always done, go down that shame spiral, the guilt, the frustration, or you can just choose to take that radical responsibility and say, do you know what? Enough is enough. There's a different outcome for me waiting on the other side of saying yes today, and wake up and regaining your energy and regaining your health and feeling good in ways that you didn't think were possible in such a short amount of time. It's just about making that decision to say yes today, because the time is going to pass anyway. And I didn't think that my life could be so different in just 12 weeks. And I think that if I can do it, anyone can do it, basically.
Wonderful. Thank you. And yes, go and give your daughter a hug, and and enjoy all of those wonderful times ahead. And yeah, it's been so wonderful hearing your story. Thank you, Athena.
Thank you so much, Terry.
So, if anybody would love to hear more about metabolic balance, please go to our website, and there's details in the show notes, and metabolic-balance.com. And you can also find your practitioner. Lisa Mackay is in Perth, but we have many practitioners across the country and across the globe. Wherever you are in the world, you can find a practitioner to work with too. So, it's been wonderful. Thank you again, and we will catch up again for our next Metabolic Balance story soon.